I joined a band in seventh grade. Was in the same band through junior high and high school. Then in college, the band finally broke up, and that's when I met Daryl. I just, the way I looked at it is people never really stopped clapping. So I kept doing it.
You probably told the story, but do you remember the day you met Daryl and something clicked?
Yeah, I remember exactly. He had a group called the Temptones. I had a group called the Masters. We both had singles out. It was in the summer of 1967 in Philadelphia. They were both being played on the same radio stations. So I was aware of him. He was aware of me. We were invited independently to go to this record hop, which was what DJs, a teenage dance basically. And while we were waiting backstage, there was a gang fight. And so broke out in the crowd. And so his band and my band, we went in a service elevator down to the street, and that's how we met. And then we were both going to Temple University. We kept seeing each other around. Then he lost a guitar player. My band broke up. Two of the guys got drafted to Vietnam. And I joined his group as a guitar player. That group broke up, and he and I started hanging out.
Jeez, just by happenstance. If that elevator, if that fight didn't break out, you probably wouldn't have met that night. There'd be no Hall Oates.
Yeah, well, a lot of things happened. I mean, if I wouldn't have picked Temple University to go to college, I mean, I had a bunch of other colleges I was looking at. It was just, hey, things, you never know how things are going to work out.
Who was the more outgoing of the two of you when you met? Were you both kind of outgoing, ladies' men, kind of just having fun? Everything was simple then?
Everything was simple then, that's for sure. It's not the same as it is now, that's for sure. No, we were hippies. We just kind of tripped around and did things. And Philadelphia had this little hippie community downtown, and we were part of that. And so, I was playing in a blues band. Daryl was doing some studio work, and then eventually he played in a bar band. And none of the things that we did independently seemed to click. And then the crazy part is that after I graduated from college in the spring of 1970, I wanted to go to Europe. So I had a motorcycle and I had a few other things. I think I had $400 and I had a backpack and a guitar, and I went to Europe and I hitchhiked around Europe for 4 months. And during that time, I sublet my apartment to Daryl's sister and her boyfriend. And so when I got back in October, after being gone for 4 months, I went to my apartment and there was a padlock on the door. Because they didn't pay the rent,
shit.
I had nowhere to go. So Daryl was living, not very close, a few blocks away. So I just put my backpack and guitar back on, walked down the street, knocked on his door, and said, "Hey, man, your sister kind of screwed me up here. I got nowhere to live." And he said, "Oh, don't worry about it. Why don't you just go upstairs and sleep on the couch up there?" And so I went up to the top floor where his electric piano was, and then. I slept on the fold-out couch, and he'd come up, he'd start playing piano, and I'd pull out my guitar, and we start. Next thing you know, we were writing songs, and there you go.
It was that easy. It was that just messing around, and all of a sudden,
we had known each other for 3 years prior to that, but we hadn't really worked together.
And what did you know you had something special, or was it just two guys having a good time?
No. In fact, we made a first recording at the Temple University radio studio because we could get in for free. And we did this tape of a song that we wrote. It was so bad. It was horrible.
What was it? What was it called?
Oh, it was horrible. It was some stupid hippie dipshit song. and we both looked at each other and went, let's just hang out. This is never going to work.
Wow.
Because his voice was very high and pristine. My voice was kind of, low and rough, and it sounded horrible. And little by little, I guess I don't know what, he went this way and I went this way, and we kind of figured out a way of singing together.
And what was the first song that you go, holy shit, this is better than that recording we did at Temple University. This is something cool.
We had, the first album we did was just a collection of stuff songs that I had, songs that he had. It wasn't really conceived like a record, but we got a contract, so we made the record for Atlantic Records. And it was really the second album, the Abandoned Luncheonette album, where it really came together. And that's what She's Gone was on. She's Gone was on that album. And that song was, I call that the perfect storm. That's the perfect creative storm.